Welcome, everyone, to another episode of PTR Perspective, where we dive into the mind shaping the future of electrical infrastructure industry. Today's conversation is one that I've been looking forward to record for a long time with a forward-thinking leader in our sector. I am very happy and honored to be joined by Wael Gadd. He's the CEO of UTEC, a leading transformer and switchgear manufacturer out of Saudi Arabia, and also a board member of Bawan Engineering Group, which is the force behind UTEC as a brand. Wael's career spans over 3 decades across Europe, Middle East, and Africa, from leading multinational giants like Philips Lighting, Microsoft, and Electrolux to steering family-run businesses and several advisory board roles. Wael offers a unique lens into what leadership means in today's rapidly evolving market landscape, and that's why I'm super excited to have you with us. Thank you so much for your time and joining us today.
Thank you, Hassan. I'm also honored to be here today and have this discussion with you.
Amazing. So in today's episode, we will dive to explore the evolving definition of leadership success in the Middle East region, a region that is going through massive change. We'll also look ahead on what kind of leadership will shape the future in the next decade and how can leaders prepare for the challenges to come. Jumping right in, while your leadership journey spans multiple industries and regions, and you've been at the center of transformation in some of the most complex business environments. I know that for sure that these were not just operational wins, but also strategic, people-driven structural transformations. What have these high-stake transitions taught you about leadership, and how have these lessons shaped the way you lead UTEC today, especially in an industry which is also rapidly evolving, right? Electrical infrastructure sector.
I'm blessed with what I was exposed to. I'm blessed to my mentors, my leaders, my colleagues, my teams that actually have shaped how I look at things and my prospect of how I think hopefully right things should be done. So as you just said, I've worked across different geographies, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I've worked in multinationals, family businesses. I went through turnarounds, acquisitions, mergers, divestments, green and brownfield investments. I sit on boards, I advise chairmans, I advise family businesses. And across the years, I think there is always 3 fundamentals that I believe are constant for any leader, any organization, any culture, any business situation. They are the core of success. This is the recipe that I came to learn across the years. First, it's very important that you have a clarity of purpose. So not you as a leader, but you as an organization. Every single person, from the frontliner to the steering leadership team, has to digest, understand, and believe in the purpose. This is a driving engine for everyone to wake up in the morning and go to work. So a leader needs to make this clear for every single person in the organization. Second, and here I'm not, this is not in sequence or in importance. So there's 3 learnings has to come together. Okay. A leader needs to be culturally intelligent, because people is what make it or break it. So they are your army, they are your success factors. So you need to make sure that you select them right. There is homogeneous values. You need to understand their thoughts, their ambition, their fears, and you need to design your policies, procedures, uh, cadences to create a culture that would embrace the purpose and continue fueling this journey that you're managing. So purpose is clear, culture is homogeneous and is fitting the purpose. Then the glue that brings all this together is trust. You need to make sure and be able to inspire trust across all levels of the organization. Trust between people and people, between people and company. So if you master these three factors, regardless, you're a multinational, you're a small business, you're a startup, you're a regional firm, you're a family business, those three factors will always apply. You can have the best strategy in the world. You can recruit and headhunt the best people. But if you don't have clear purpose, you don't have inspired, competent people, and you don't have trust, I really highly doubt that you will deliver impactful, sustainable results. You could deliver for a year, but forever, this is the core of the success that I have witnessed, I've learned, regardless of the geography, the culture, the industry, but having those in place have always paid back.
Very interesting. I was just reflecting upon this and thinking about the quote, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So if you don't have the vision defined, if you don't have the right people, and if you don't have the trust-based culture, it's very, very difficult to grow. But from there, traditionally, leadership success has been always, and even today, gets measured in numbers, growth, revenue, market share, profitability. But increasingly, especially in our power sector, right, impact is also being redefined to include sustainability, resilience, how future ready you are, how are you helping the customers become future ready. So in all of this, how do you personally define leadership success? And what are the signs or markers that you look for to know that, that the transformation is working and the company is evolving?
We cannot deny that numbers are important. Revenue, profits, market shares, dividends, market cap. It is important. We're all in business to create value. However, the real success behind this that would eventually deliver the numbers is the leader ability to develop an organization that would deliver this sustainable long-term value creation. And when I say value creation, it's not only for the shareholders, because the word now is actually much more complex. So it's for all stakeholders. And maybe during our discussion we could touch base more on that. So and when I say stakeholders, it's shareholders, it's customers, employees, it's communities that we actually serve, suppliers, regulators. So now a lot of different stakeholders are part of the governing of any organization. So back to your question, what are the signs of success or a successful transformation? I think when you see your employees taking ownership of your mission and vision, so it's not dictated, it's more driven from the inside. When you witness a culture that is full of continuous improvements, so every day a Kaizen, every day someone that is introducing something that would cost save, that would produce more with less or with the same. And if that happens without being it a KPI, if you see it happening naturally and every day, then successful transformation is happening. If you see your people embracing teamwork, collaboration, technology, okay, and here I'm not speaking about only ChatGPT, okay? So because sometimes technology is scary, and there is this belief that technology would replace me or would make me not important. But if you see the mindsets in adapting technology, embracing change, not resisting, and finding ways to continuously be more proactive, collaborative. If you see people getting out of their way to give a hand to colleagues, if you see people raising their hands to participate in teams, these are all signs of successful transformation. However, the real measure, and this is my advice to all leaders, because sometimes the inside voice is very loud. So the real measure is the outside voice. When you see your customers, your partners recognizing you as people, recognizing you as an organization that they see as a force of good, then I think transformation is working.
I think it goes back to the first point that you mentioned in terms of the leadership, right? If you have a vision and the whole team is aligned to that vision and where you're trying to get to, and you can see that in how actively people are taking ownership, then that is clearly a sign that, that transformation is working. And I'm happy to say that as a partner of UTEC, I've seen that across multiple teams within UTEC, and how, everyone is very excited to do more and do the next thing at the company.
Hassan, everything decays. So my advice for leaders, don't ever think that you have reached there. You need to always make sure that you're fueling the culture. It's as if you have a car and you decided that, okay, it's working properly, so I'll stop the maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay. So in organizations, people, everyone needs continuous maintenance, fueling, enlightening, push. So your drive and what you're achieving would never decay.
I love the analogies. I love your analogies. Um, coming back to a topic which is maybe a bit more prevalent in our region, but also broadly as well, and I'd love to get your take on that. So, family-run businesses, right? They're very often rich in legacy, but are very complicated to modernize. And that because the change over there doesn't only touch the systems in the company, it's about the values, it's about the relationship, it's about the identities that has been in place for decades, right? As someone who has led family owned businesses and then also advised multiple of them through these critical transition, what are some of the unique challenges and opportunities that you think come with the driving change in such environments? And very importantly, a question that I get asked, like, when I'm in board circles, for example, how do you balance kind of the respect for legacy with the need to kind of, reimagine the future in such environments?
So first of all, so people do not get my answer wrong. You cannot lump sum all family businesses together. Okay, so there is no one rule fits all here. Especially that some family businesses are very advanced in governance, business practices. Actually, with no offense, I have seen and worked with family businesses that could be much better than multinationals. So we cannot say that all family businesses have uh, challenges while transforming. Okay. Uh, that, one thing you're right is that all family businesses and every family business has its own deep rooted values.
Mhm.
As an executive and an advisor, it's critical that you really digest and understand those values and do not assume that you understand. Okay, you need to probe and test your understanding so you could actually um, add value and gain trust. Uh, Usually, what's known that the different areas that an executive or an advisor touch base when working with family businesses is governance, authority matrices, segregation of ownership from management, and of course, succession.
Mhm.
Okay. Uh, However, all those, even if it's only creating an authority matrix, okay, all those require the advisor, require the executive, which is not a family person, to really carefully navigate and understand the legacy of this family. And there is no book for that. Okay, there is every family is a different uh, entity and different legacy.
Mhm.
So you need to understand the legacy. You need to understand the culture. You need to understand the unstated rules and the unstated conflicts. And those people will not volunteer to tell you. So you need to navigate and maneuver and find your way to understand what is not said. Because usually the obstacle is there.
Mhm.
Okay. So an individual that is either an executive or an advisor to a family business has to have very high emotional intelligence, has to have empathy, uh, uh, and he needs to understand that what is not logical for him or her is logical for someone in the family. Okay, so you cannot just close down an organization or shut down an opinion because it's not logical. يعني listen and listen. First, the founder. So if the founder is alive, you need to be very close to the founder. You need to understand his vision. How did he create this legacy? Okay. What are his true feelings? What does he or she want to achieve? Then you cannot neglect or discount all the other family members just and focus on the founder. Founder is important. You need to understand everything. Then you need to really understand and sit and talk sincerely with every single family member that is involved in the business, and sometimes even if not involved. And you need to respect what you hear. Then when you're crafting your transformation journey, you need to balance between this founding vision, the need and the ambition of growth and evolving, and of course governance and regulation. And again, to understand what's not stated when you are working with a founder, a chairman who is letting go, and sometimes you agree on a direction, you start some steps, then suddenly everything changes over a dinner, or if he meets a friend, then he changes his mind. Okay, so the ability of the executive and an advisor to sustain this change in mind and bring back the family and the founder to the track without being frustrated or without giving up, this is very important. And just to make things very simple and very clear, just imagine that you have decided to let go your kids to someone else to raise. Okay, I'm I'm not sure that you will not change your mind, or you will not be you will not feel guilt, you will not try to bring them back. So this is what's going on with a transformation in a family. So keep this in mind and accordingly act as an advisor or an executive.
I think this last point is, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to add that this last point is very true, not even just for the family-run businesses, but also kind of large organizations like, large startups that become scale-ups. I remember watching this from Eric Schmidt, who was the CEO of Google, right? So when he came in, he understood that Larry Page and Sergey Brin, they are the founders, and he needs to kind of understand what their thought process is and then implement that. Because at the end of the day, it's their company, it's their child. They're growing it up, and then they're kind of giving it away to this new management, which was Eric. So understanding their kind of vision and then being able to cope with that change is extremely important, like beyond just the family offices as well. 100% agree with you on that.
True. So this is a topic that's very close to my heart, and I can keep talking for hours. So stop me.
I feel like we need to do another episode on just the family offices, because there's a lot to unpack over there. Absolutely.
Just one or a couple of final advices here.
Mhm.
One, trust. Very important. You need to gain trust, and you need to maintain the trust. Okay, and maintaining the trust is open dialogue, continuous open dialogue, getting feedback from all different family members. Okay. Two, understand the legacy,
Mhm.
unstated conflicts.
Mhm.
Three, and the most important is, do not introduce a change plan that would depart the future of this organization from the family legacy. It has to be a continuation. It has to be an evolution. Okay. They always need to look at themselves and feel comfortable that, yes, this is us.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the modern us. So do not come with an advice that would depart them from the roots. This is my advice.
No, thank you so much. I think this was very detailed. And also for everyone listening or watching this, right? Like, I just want to make a connection to the power sector, because what very often people don't realize is that most of the electrical equipment manufacturers in the Middle East region are owned by family offices. These are investments of family offices or being run by them, even some of the very large clubs. But shifting gears a little bit, we talked a lot about inside the organization, and also inside the family offices as well. Let's talk about kind of the external factors a little bit. Leadership doesn't really operate in isolation. It is constantly being shaped by external forces, whether it is geopolitical tensions, shifting economical policies, supply chain disruptions that we saw, or aligning, in your case, for example, with broader national visions like Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. Leaders don't only have to steer the organizations internally, but also how are these organizations responding to kind of these external environments. So how do you as a leader navigate these micro level challenges? How do you keep your team focused? How do you create a strategy that is aligned with your vision, but at the same time is resilient enough that, it can deal with these external factors? Maybe some guiding principles in the face of these external uncertainty, when you need to make decision making happen.
Very, very true, Hassan. Um, it is now a very small world. Everything is interconnected. Uh, so regardless of where you play, how big or small you are, external forces can easily manipulate your environment. Being economical shifts, geopolitical conflicts, change in regulations. So sometimes regulations are not only local, sometimes a change of a global or a regional regulation can even affect a company. So it's very important that a leader would have the ability to be agile, however, remain focused.
Mhm.
And if you remember at the beginning of our discussion, um, only the leader being agile and focused would not work. Okay, it's the organization itself. And three principles: clear purpose, competent people, trust. To maybe give you a more clearer example, if I speak about the organization I'm currently running, we have a cyclic 5-year plan. Okay. In this plan, it is designed to capture and adapt to change. So we have a very well thought of and drafted 5-year objective. But these objectives have yearly strategies that deliver them. And those strategies can easily be reviewed, changed based on opportunities, changes, challenges, while making sure that we have a reference that we always measure towards. So whatever change we do will always fulfill this 5-year plan. To do this, you need to design your work processes or your systems to have listening skills and scanning skills to the environment. You have to design in the process, how do you do the change and how do you adjust the measure. But most important, you need to have an organization that has the mind for accepting change and the ability to do this without losing focus. This is a competency that you could have in people that you recruit, or it's a development process that you develop your people to embrace. You also need to have a proper and a strong governance in place to make sure that you do not lose direction as change happen. So, as a summary, change is constant, not always predictable, and having a team, at least your leadership team, that are able to comfortably lead in ambiguity is important. So because it's becoming the name of the game.
So
I don't know, did I answer your question?
yes, that leads me to a follow-up question, right? As you very rightly said, change is constant. Most organizations today are undergoing some form of transformation, right? Digital transformation, operational transformation, cultural transformations. But the reality is that this change is not very linear. There is sometimes kind of competing demands between the vision and the delivery, given the volatile markets, right? There might be some short-term opportunities which are against the long-term vision of the company, for example, right? So how do you, like, you can take UTEC as an example, or in general, how do you create alignment between kind of the long-term strategic goals and the everyday operational pressures that the team face because of this change?
Yeah, I just mentioned this. So this tool that we use in UTEC to govern our 5-year periodic objectives, it's a no secret. It's a global tool that a lot of organizations use. It's called OGSM. Okay, you can Google it and find more about it. This tool helps us that we're making sure that we're agile, we're flexible, however, we're focused, okay? And we're assuring relevance to the direction and to objective at every step in the way. So what we do as an execution to succeed is, one, regular feedback loops, not only internal, but external. So you need to sit with your regulators, with your partners, suppliers, technology partners. You need to have exposure to conferences, future possible regulatory changes. So all this you have it has to boil into a feedback loop where leaders have to look at it and see how would this affect the organization. Do we need to do a change in our internal governance policies, maybe an adjustment to our direction? So feedback is important. You need to listen to your team on the ground, because sometimes during execution, assumptions could be different from reality. And the speed where you attain to any needed adjustment to make sure that you are delivering to your stakeholders on time and with the least possible disruption and cost is very important. And though I've mentioned previously that you need to bring mediums and embrace people to speak up and give feedback and be innovative, but people are not all the same. So sometimes people do not talk. So you need to have your listening tools and discussions to make sure that you have this feedback in real time. And of course, leadership is very important. So it's and here I'm not speaking about the leader. I'm speaking about the leadership team. So it's very important that you develop a leadership team that embodies the vision, ensures alignments, cascades the information, empowers their people, and this would actually make sure that things are happening regardless of the changes in the environment.
Very helpful. So, for the last question, particularly, I want you to wear your hat of being an advisor. You know, as someone who has helped shape leadership cultures through change, um, I want to hear your perspective for the leaders which are going to be stepping into these high impact roles in the next decade in our sector. You know, the energy sector is changing dramatically. What are the leadership capabilities that you believe will matter the most in the coming decade? And what is your advice that you would offer to those stepping into these roles, these high impact roles for the organizations in the electrical infrastructure sector?
It's becoming more complex and more challenging, my friend, every day.
Indeed.
First, there are some classical, if I can say, specifications of a leader, but there are more uh, uh, evolving perspectives that a leader should really make sure that he learns and he masters. So a leader needs to be visionary, empathetic. I mean, people leaders are the most impactful people leaders. Okay, but you need to understand, deeply understand, compliance and governance, regulation and compliance requirements are evolving and becoming more and more demanding, and you need to be aware. You need to be ahead of the game, so not only understand the regulation but potential regulations. And it's no secret. And you need to be part of trade groups. You need to be in a relation with the different ministries that you operate within, so you can have a dialogue of what's in the kitchen, and you bring your organization and your people to be ready ahead of the regulation. You need to be tech savvy. Okay, technology is advancing. AI is advancing the technology. Okay, so you need to understand the technology and understand how to use it and how to embrace it and how to embed it in every single part or piece of your business.
Mhm.
You need also to make your people understand You need to make your people accept. We need to plan ahead, be able to plan ahead redundancies, because technology could lead to redundancies. And if you do not plan this ahead, you create resistance. So leader, not only understanding the technology, but the consequences. And how do you deal with the consequences? And how do you reutilize your resources and capabilities in other areas? You need to also be very cautious and aware of the environmental and sustainability needs. So, in a nutshell, you need to a leader. We need to manage, because maybe I didn't put it on the list, but at the end you're managing. Okay, so you need to manage and grow your organization while balancing all those conflicting objectives of your different stakeholders. Because don't ever think that every item in the list that I've just mentioned is in alignment with the other. Sometimes you will see conflicts of cost, of priority, of compliance. So you need to know how to balance all this. You need to make sure, of course, one thing that I missed is risk aware. So you need to make sure that you understand what are the risks, how can you manage them. You assess the possible different types of risks for every part of your strategy and objectives. So the leader need to balance all this while keeping focus and growing the business, having proper returns for all his stakeholders. And for this to happen, the real secret is you need to have the right co-pilots. Because you can never navigate ambiguity and uncertainty alone. Make sure that you pick your co-pilots carefully, because ambiguity is a constant. And you cannot depend on mirrors while driving a business. Okay, you need to have eyes 360, and this can only happen by aware, competent co-pilots.
Very, very interesting. And I think this leadership needs to, when I think about leadership, right, it's not just at the very top. It needs to permeate through the layers of management, and every single manager needs to think about that. And this is one of the advice that I give to leaders that I speak to as well, is that don't just promote people to become managers because they're really good at their job. There is a lot more that goes into it to becoming a leader than just being good at the individual contributor or that limited scope of work that you're doing. While this has been very insightful, there is a lot that I have learned from this as well. But I just want to say something for the listeners or the viewers today, is that I really wanted to focus this episode learning about leadership and leadership in our sector. That's why we do not talk too much about UTEC. But I just want to say that there is a lot of exciting things happening at UTEC as well. There is product portfolio that you guys have introduced, and there are some projects which are going to come up and be announced in the near future. So definitely look out for UTEC as the leading player in the region as well. But once again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the insights. I really appreciate what you have shared today, and maybe we need to do more of these in the future as well.
It's always a pleasure speaking to you, Hassan, on podcasts or in person. So also, you have a lot of inspirational stories that I always like to hear. Being a family business leader yourself, so it's a pleasure having to speak to you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wael. Take care.